my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, sing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Howdy, 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 everybody. It is I, Jesse Blaze Snider, the coolest geek alive. Care Bear stare to you all. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing, well, I've been better, but I'm gonna get through it. I'm getting through it. Anyway, you ever wonder how a late night talk show that was losing $40 to $50 million a year somehow didn't get canceled? Anybody? Because let me tell you something. That's not how entertainment works. That's not how business works. That's not how reality works. But apparently, it is how psychological operations work. Stephen Colbert, yeah. The, haha, I'm just a fake conservative playing a character guy. He wasn't just playing a role. He was the role. And somewhere along the way, that jester costume got replaced with a lab coat, a booster syringe, and a narrative mandate. Let's be real. Colbert stopped being a comedian a long time ago. And what he became, a smug little avatar for the system, selling you big pharma like it was a dance number, gaslighting the nation while pretending to do satire. And if you're losing tens of millions annually and still being broadcast to millions of Americans nightly, that's not show business. That's state business. This episode, we're talking about why Colbert was allowed to exist for as long as he did. We're talking about what it means when a show doesn't need viewers or money to survive. What does that mean? And we're talking about how one of the coolest, smartest comedic voices of the early 2000s became a walking cautionary tale for what happens when the system rewards obedience over originality. So pour yourself a drink, boot up the neural net, and strap in. It's time to talk about the Psyop formerly known as Stephen Colbert. So, I don't know. How about the $50 million question? This is not how entertainment works. Look, so here's the deal. In the world of television, especially network television, you do not survive losing $50 million a year. That's not creative risk-taking. That's not prestige programming. That's a fireable offense. That's a canceled show. That's a business failure. I'll tell you a quick story about a show that I was on called Rock the Cradle. It was a music show competition. The children of famous rock and pop stars competing against one another to see who had inherited the talent of their forebears. This was a really big show for Viacom MTV. It was on MTV, even though a lot of people don't even remember it as being on MTV because it didn't necessarily seem like an MTV type show, especially when there was VH1 and other things. But it was an MTV show, and they were spending a lot of money on the show. They thought that they had a really good idea on their hands. They had partnered with the Busy Blondes production company, who were not a really big production company, and it was Fremantle producing the show. Fremantle is the American Idol production company. So they were doing their American Idol for MTV, and they were spending millions of dollars advertising Rock the Cradle, not just in-house with promo ads for the show that was going to be on MTV, which is easy enough. You allot a certain amount of your in-house commercials for the shows that you're going to be airing on your channel. But Rock the Cradle was specifically given an ad campaign where you didn't see anybody. It was kind of a mysterious ad campaign. They had billboards in New York City where they had a little boy that looked like Alice Cooper with Alice Cooper makeup on, and he was like a baby. In a playroom or something. I don't remember exactly. But I do remember that they had put a lot of money into the advertising. Well, let me tell you this. The very first episode of Rock the Cradle was not the success that they hoped it would be. They were hoping for tens of millions, I guess, of viewers. And I think we were something like 2 million. And they immediately canceled all of the advertising that they were doing for the show immediately. As soon as they saw that we did not have it in us to get the big ratings that they were hoping for, and that they were spending this ad money to get, they cut all ads for the show. And they cut the show down from, like, I might be wrong about this, but something like 10 episodes to 6 episodes. An immediate cut down of the whole show's length of time, and no more advertising on it. They were not going to spend any more time. Their ratings were what their ratings were, but they had put out a lot of money, and the money did not get returned. And already before the show had aired more than a single episode, they had already cut into how much they were spending on it. Okay? So as soon as it wasn't profitable, they abandoned spending any money on the show at all. So I say this should have been a canceled show. This is a business failure. This isn't, I could tell you plenty of other stories. This is just one that I happen to be involved in. And I know how quickly they go, oh, this is a failure. Because entertainment is a business. It's the entertainment business. Unless it was never about the business. Because when a show like The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is losing money hand over fist, but still gets prime airtime, top-level production and guests, a full writing staff, endless promotional support, and the complete blessing of CBS's corporate overlords, that's not a failure. That's a mission. And missions, especially the covert kind, don't care about profit. They care about control. Look, Colbert wasn't just losing a little money. If it was really $50 million a year, that's about $1 million a week. The show was losing $1 million a week. It's not breaking even. It's reportedly one of the biggest financial liabilities on network television. And again, I'll separate myself from what I wrote down to say, what is a late night show in general? Promotion. It's people coming on, doing the promotional tour for a movie, music, who are getting the positions, like getting these interviews. Various people who are in the business of entertainment, promotion, blah, 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 blah. And this is late night advertising, which we know what late at night advertising can be like. When it's like, get the suck pump, and whatever other weird devices and things, and late night proselytizing and whatnot. Late night comedian making you laugh as he sells you on all of the things that are coming soon to a theater near you, coming your way. Here it is, enjoy it. So, to a certain degree, we don't have to argue about that. This is what late night TV does. But is it typical to be losing $50 million a year on one of these shows? Is it not possible to have a successful one that makes money? I'm pretty sure it is. But despite the financial difficulty here, they still kept the lights on. They still kept the cameras rolling. They still paraded Stephen Colbert out night after night to smirk his way through narratives that sounded less like jokes and more like fucking press releases. Let me ask you a real question. What kind of television host gets to lose $50 million a year and keep his job? Answer: the kind who's not just a television host. But Jesse, what are you saying? That Colbert was on the CIA's payroll? Maybe not. Maybe not directly. Not provably. But here's what I am saying. The same intelligence networks that once infiltrated the media during Operation Mockingbird, they didn't disappear. Operation Mockingbird's still going on. And you can go look up yourself. Put in, quote, Operation Mockingbird. See what comes your way. Read for as long as is fucking necessary for you to understand what has happened to your entertainment landscape. Seriously. Dig deep into this. This is the world that you're living in. Everything is a facade. Operation Mockingbird didn't disappear. It evolved. It adapted. It got a little funnier, a little more charming, and much better at hiding in plain sight. What we're seeing here with Colbert is not a business decision. It's a behavioral programming model. Because if Colbert's job wasn't to entertain, but to condition, to redirect and reframe, then it makes perfect sense that the ratings didn't fucking matter. The return on investment wasn't in dollars. It was in influence. So how does a fucking satirist become the damn system? Stephen Colbert used to be dangerous. He was the jester who used irony as a blade. He was a master of satire, pretended to be the villain, just smart enough that you knew he wasn't. He was funny because he was subversive. I loved Colbert's show. I was more prone to Jon Stewart, but I have long loved Colbert. One of my best friends who was kind of a mixed bag conservative. He's socially very liberal, but business-wise sort of conservative. And I remember him saying to me one time, a long time ago, Colbert is great because he is conservative. He's a secret conservative. And, it's all these veiled jokes and stuff, but I think he really is a conservative. I should have called my friend before I did the show and been like, do you still think that Colbert is a closet conservative? He may well be a closet conservative. None of these motherfuckers believe what they're saying. They are saying what they think they're supposed to say because they want money and power and prestige. That's what this is all about. Stephen Colbert was funny because he was fearless. Because he was calling out the system while pretending to worship it. But somewhere between the Colbert Report and the Late Show, that blade got dulled. Then blunted. You want to pass this? Want some of this? Some of this blunt? And then turned backwards and handed to his masters as a fucking prop. Colbert didn't just lose his edge, he traded it in for access. And when we say access, and when I talk about access, the access media are the people who get those interviews with the biggest stars in Hollywood, with the biggest directors, the people who get to go to that first prestigious screening where there's a red carpet and all these famous people are there. I didn't choose film because I didn't like all the egos involved. And oh my God, all the egos involved, it just gets crazier and crazier because there's egos and then there's little itty bitty egos.
I'm going to be a movie reviewer because I don't really think that I'm like a big enough deal to be like an actor or director or anything. So I'm just going to review the movies and I'm just going to pull on your coattails and ask you some nice questions, some softballs. Here you go. Here you go. I love you so much.
So much of the fucking entertainment landscape is just a bunch of people sucking each other off metaphorically. They're just, oh, you're so great, and I'm so great. And now with social media and social media influencers, there's just another layer of like, oh, man, I want access too. I want to be a part of the Cool Kids Club. I never gave two fucks about the Cool Kids Club, especially because I knew that I was already in it by virtue of being fucking cool. It was the reason why this show's called The Coolest Geek Alive. I'm cool. I'm a nice guy. I like interesting things. I can add to your conversation, and I'm kind, helpful. That's what cool is, really. It's being available, accessible, not talking down to people, being on everybody's level, fair-minded. But mostly I understood that I had been given this ridiculous power over other people as being the son of a celebrity. My father was a rock star, and then I was given sort of like the credibility of the rock star by virtue of being related to him. This isn't really something that you understand until you are in this position where like somebody that you're very close with is famous, so therefore you kind of become famous by proxy. And granted, I've gone on to do things afterwards, where people might go, well, Jesse, you've been on TV. So, sure. But like without having to do any of those things at all, I had already been given this like access, this power. I believed and still believe in using my access and using my power to give back to those who don't feel like they're, one of the pretty people or whatever bullshit. But most people are just desperate to get this, desperate to have access. Colbert was a satirist with a great show, beloved by millions. But he wasn't one of the pretty people. He wasn't David Letterman. He wasn't Johnny Carson. These are household names. This is a prestigious position. We're going to put you in position to talk to the world 4 nights a week. You're going to meet all of the most beautiful stars, and you're going to help us promote all of our movies, but you got to listen to us, buddy. And Colbert very happily traded in his satirist card for an Access Media badge. And, I remember at the time when this was like happening, I was just sort of like, oh no, how is the Colbert vibe going to continue with him as a late night host? And of course, as soon as I tuned in, I found out, it wasn't. He's just one of those guys now who gets on the TV and interviews people and does what the system wants him to do. He wanted access. He wanted to be one of the pretty people. I understand. But if you're like me, you could feel it when that happened. That moment when he stopped mocking the powerful and started protecting them. When he went from truth teller to late night human shield. Honestly, when the laughter stopped being subversive and started sounding suspiciously like fucking applause for authority. Like a built-in laugh track. And then we can enter the dancing vaccine sketch as a real tipping point. You remember this? It wasn't very long ago. I hope you had been able to hear about it. I'm guessing you have heard about it because he's finally canceled. Colbert literally dancing through the studio with human-sized syringes, singing and smiling like he was in a Broadway fever dream put on by the Pfizer company. Here, we've put on a show for you. It's about getting vaccinated and why you should. This wasn't satire. It wasn't comedy. It was compliance theater, man. Propaganda with jazz hands. This was Colbert turning to the audience and saying, laugh because you're supposed to. Trust because we told you to. Obey because it's easier than asking questions. It was the moment the jester bowed to the crown. And the crown in this case was corporate pharma, network politics, and invisible puppet strings that reach far beyond the stage. What Colbert did masterfully was carry over all the trust he'd earned during the Bush era, when he was the people's fucking champion, poking fun at power, and completely redirect it. Suddenly, mocking the system became enforcing the system. And the scariest part? Most people didn't notice. Like my friend who was this mixed bag liberal conservative who loved Colbert. They knew that. You don't think our fucking corporate overlords knew that when they went, what if we got Colbert? This guy is an exception to the rule here. Most of the comedy people who we're bringing in, it's liberal comedy. This guy's been doing a quasi-liberal, quasi-conservative comedy that has actually endeared him to both audiences. Let's take the love that people have for him on both sides and let's put it into one of these late night shows where we can do all of our typical bullshit. It's weird to me how few people have called him out, said anything about this. I mean, like, it's really kind of dastardly to go from being the guy who's pretending and like playing like a game to, oh, no, I was just pretending that whole time. And I'm just like everybody else and I'm just the friendly guy and I'll do whatever you want. It's really like, it showed me how much people are followers, how much they don't take note of change and they'll just kind of go along with it. Not everybody, probably not you, my listener, my lovely listener, probably not you, but in general, you know, he completely switched his modus operandi. But everybody was still laughing, still clapping, still thinking, that Colbert, he's one of the good ones. But his role had completely changed. He wasn't pretending to be a conservative anymore. He was pretending to be himself. And that is the real Psyop. Enter Jon Stewart with a beautiful moment of truth as the old master returns and says what Colbert never would have said. The mentor, the myth, the man who once held the crown that Colbert borrowed, he shows up on Colbert's show and injects some genuine truth into what has become a total facade. And let me set the stage if you haven't seen any of this. This is wonderful. These are some clips you should go and fucking find. It's June 2021. Colbert is back on set after pandemic lockdowns. Everyone's vaccinated. Everyone's mask wearing on cue. And everything feels like a sanitized, corporate-sponsored sigh of relief. But then Jon Stewart walks in. He sits down on that couch like he never left, like he's still running The Daily Show. And then, boom. He drops a truth bomb so powerful, it shook the Matrix for a full 24 hours. Quote, there's a novel respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do we do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan Novel Respiratory Coronavirus Lab. And then you could feel it. The audience laughed, but nervously. Colbert squirmed, smiled, tried to deflect. You could see it in his eyes. This wasn't part of the script, John. John wasn't there to play nice. He wasn't there to sell the official line. He was doing what Colbert used to do. Poke the sacred cow. But now the cow was vaccinated, double boosted, and owned by fucking Pfizer. Colbert scrambled to pull the moment back. He said things like, there's a chance this could be a mistake, and we don't know all the facts. But Stewart didn't flinch. He doubled down. He called the idea that it didn't come from the lab ridiculous. He said the backlash to common sense had become a form of liberal guilt. Hallelujah. And for one brief moment, the veil cracked. Jon Stewart reminded the world what truth sounds like. Unscripted, uncomfortable, and undeniable. And Colbert, he looked like a man realizing in real time that the boss was watching, and he was off message. was amazing. You know, Stewart has come back from this, and Stewart is trying to do something which I think is really not the novel, but admirable. He's trying to bring liberal politics to a median. He's trying to bring some sensibility and reason and humor to the absurdity that has become the left side, which is just wrapped up in lots of extreme liberalism that most liberals don't go for. So, I mean, this moment was seismic, especially because it revealed the new dynamic. Jon Stewart was, or is still, he still seems to be, a free man. And Stephen Colbert wasn't. He was not a free man. He was chained behind that desk, and he could not poke fun at his biggest sponsor, Pfizer, anymore. You see, Colbert was no longer hosting a comedy show. He was babysitting the narrative. He had bosses, he had boundaries, he had sponsors to keep happy. He had a message to deliver night after night after night. And watching him visibly panic as his old mentor spoke unsanctioned truth, it was one of the realest moments on TV in years. And the message was clear. Truth has a cost. And Stephen Colbert wasn't willing to pay it anymore. But Jon, he walked in, said what had to be said, and walked out untouched because he didn't need the machine anymore. And that's the moment the illusion broke for a lot of us, because the jester who once mocked the king was now the king's court-appointed entertainer. And the old master, the true geek, the real rebel, just pulled back the curtain and showed us the wires. So I want to teach you about the business of narratives, which could be boiled down to something like follow the money or the black budget. Where's that going? Let's get one thing straight. In a sane, functioning entertainment ecosystem, losing tens of millions of dollars a year gets your show canceled. That's just basic math. 40 to 50 million lost annually. And I saw this showed up on Snoops as the first piece of information. And it's so funny because that, to me, proves it's a lie. When something has been pushed to the forefront, literally, it's easier to find as a Snoops article than it is to find the articles that this is based on. And I mean, the Snoops article wants to come in because it's saying that this is anonymous information. I'm sure that this information will come out rather directly in the near future. The fact that they put so much effort to try to make it a Snoops article, when you go read the Snoops article doesn't say anything that counteracts whatever the idea that it's been losing money. You know what's a good counter? No, last year we made $30 million. Here it is. This is the budget for the show. We're making this much more. Our ratings are this. Nothing like that. Just an article of them questioning multiple sources. Granted, they are anonymous sources. But this is all damage control. You don't lose this kind of money without getting your show canceled. Except the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, that wasn't a show anymore. It was an influence engine. You know how banks used to say, too big to fail? Colbert was too useful to cancel. Oh no, that show's too useful to cancel. He's dancing with syringes. Once you stop measuring success in ratings and revenue and start measuring it in narrative penetration, everything changes. This show wasn't about getting laughs. This was about getting agreement. This was about shaping public perception while people thought they were being entertained. And who's fucking funding this? Big Pharma, for starters. Look at the ad breaks. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. Every segment about doing your part or trusting the experts was brought to you by the same companies that literally paid for the airtime. That dancing vaccine sketch wasn't just cringy, it was product placement. $1 billion marketing campaign with a laugh track. Now zoom out further. Who owns CBS? Viacom. Hey, same people who own MTV. Who does Viacom work with? Defense contractors, intelligence agencies, political lobbyists. They don't just sell content. They sell control. So when Colbert's show is hemorrhaging money on paper, that doesn't matter because he's delivering return on investment in the currency that really matters. Obedience, trust, social cohesion around approved messaging. Think about it. If someone like me or you tried to run a show with those losses, we'd be off the air before the next commercial break. But Colbert? He got promoted. Bigger budget, more airtime, more exposure. Why? Because the system doesn't run on merit. System doesn't run on merit. It runs on utility. And let me just tell you, before the system shifted over to the DEI, whatever, and now the DEI shifted away, it's still not being run on merit. It's still run on utility. It's still run on who you know and what secret society you're in and what oaths have you taken and whether or not the other person who's in control who took the same secret society oaths is willing to let you in. If his ego is a little bit too, hurt or threatened by you, no, you're not going to come. It's an ego-based, utility-based system. And Colbert became one of its most polished, reliable tools. A human firewall against dissent. A walking, talking PR campaign wrapped in irony and applause signs. And this is not just about fucking Colbert. He's not the only one. Jimmy Kimmel, same playbook. Looks like he's about to go off the air. Awesome. Trevor Noah, a little slicker. Same game. And there's tons more. These ones that are on the television, that are partnered with these networks are choosing them carefully. And they've all been absorbed into this machine of manufactured consensus. They're not trying to be funny. They're trying to be safe. To be approved. To be kept, not fired. To have the access. They want to maintain their access. And this is what happens when entertainment becomes enforcement. When comedy becomes compliance. And when the people who used to question power decide instead to serve it. Let's talk about betrayal. Not the dramatic Hollywood kind. Not the knife in the back, Luke, I am your father kind. No, I'm talking about the quiet kind. The kind where your heroes just stop being heroic. Stephen Colbert was one of us. He was cool geek royalty. Witty, literate, fearless. The guy who knew all the references and how to cut through the BS. Playing both sides like a fiddle. He was proof that a nerd could speak truth to power and win. And then he stopped. The geek fire didn't go out all at once. It dimmed, flickered. But then it froze. Because here's the thing. Geekdom isn't just trivia. It's rebellion. It's falling in love with the things the world says are too weird, too passionate, too obscure. It's seeing the world through mythic eyes. It's understanding that the real world is often the least imaginative version of what's possible. So when someone like Colbert, a man who embodied that outsider genius, turns around and becomes a shill for the most boring, conformist, soulless version of reality, it's not just disappointing, it's spiritually demoralizing. Because when our coolest geeks get bought, when they become PR agents for the empire, we lose a piece of the map. And again, it's not just Colbert. We've watched wave after wave of beloved geek icons, actors, writers, creators, comedians slowly sap their spark for social credit. I'm like hating on Pedro Pascal so hard right now because he's an actor that I like. Okay, he's been in a lot of things that I like, but he's been like gifted just job after job after job in the geek culture world, and I realize he never spoke out for Gina Carano, and the Gina Carano situation is fucked up. But he wanted the social credit. And he knew that that wouldn't be good social credit for him. And every single time he's on a press tour, he's playing all these fucking social credit games. Not credit with the audience that he is gracing his fucking presence into. Here he comes in Fantastic Four, and you are not going to be respectful to the fucking audience of these comics first and foremost? I saw an interview him the other day. I think there's a movie called Edmonton or something like that, and he's talking, and the other big actors in the movie are just listening to him. And maybe I'm wrong in reading this, but Joaquin Phoenix and what's his name, Butler, they just seemed like disgusted, and maybe that was me who was being disgusted. But it's just like every time he fucking opens his mouth, and all these people, they start saying the right things, praising the right causes, wearing the right masks at the right events. I can't stand it. I'm an Ashkenazi Jew by blood. I'm non-binary. I don't consider myself one of the normal people. But when the right things and the right causes, like when it's easy to point to what those things are, and there's like a parade, an echo chamber of people all saying the same shit, it's not genuine. And nobody thinks it is. Except for the people who are still under the spell of the Hollywood, which is literally, that's the type of wood that they would use to make wands, to cast spells on people. Tell a vision. Let's tell you a vision. It's all trickery. And the longer you spend going, oh, but I just love this one, and I can tell he's got a little soul like me, and I can tell he's got a little soul like me. Listen, the bigger they are, the more likely it is that they have sold their souls outright and have agreed to do things that you would wish that they would never have agreed to. As I said, this has happened to wave after wave of beloved geek icons, actors, writers. Most of them all just kind of go silent. But it all feels wrong. Especially for somebody like Stephen Colbert. The subversion's gone, the edge is gone, the risk is gone, and what's left is just another avatar of the algorithm, pretending that they still have something to say. But here's the good news. The crown is back on the table. And this time, it doesn't go to the one with the biggest platform. It goes to the one with the hottest flame. Coolest Geek Alive isn't a job you're handed. It's a fire you keep lit when everyone else lets their shit go cold. If you're on YouTube, it's Nerdrotic, it's Doomcock, The Critical Drinkers, and every other in-your-face, fuck-the-system voice that rises up to call this place out on what it's doing. Because entertainment media is no longer about pleasing the system for insider access. It's about disrupting it so that maybe the entertainment we're getting gets a little better. It's not about getting applause like the pretty people in Hollywood hope to receive, but about waking people up. So let the old titans fucking fall. Let the network gods collapse under the weight of their own cowardice, because the new myth makers are rising. And we don't need their stage. We are the show now. So now you know. Stephen Colbert didn't lose his touch. He sold it. And what we thought was comedy was conditioning. What we thought was a joke was justification. What we thought was entertainment was entrainment. Training you how to think, how to feel, how to obey. But here's the part they didn't plan for. You woke up. Maybe not all at once. Maybe not with some big moment. But somewhere deep in your gut, you started feeling that something was off. And that feeling? That was your soul knocking. Because when a show loses $50 million a year and still stays on the air, that's not failure. That's function. That's a signal that something bigger is happening behind the scenes. And when you start asking why, the matrix starts to glitch. So now it's your move. This episode isn't about Colbert. It's not even really about late night television. It's about the system behind the screen. The machine that trades truth for influence, and the people who chose to serve it. Because it's easier than standing alone. But you're not alone. You're here. And if you made it this far, then deep down, you're one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. The fire is still lit. The geek hasn't cooled. And the revolution isn't televised. It's downloaded. It's streamed. It's shared. It's this. Right now. I've got 2 campaigns up on Kickstarter right now. They haven't gone live yet, but one is for my 9-album box set. My 9th album is coming out next month. And the other one is for Sugar and Bones magazine, my comics anthology magazine, plus entertainment magazine. It's going to be awesome. I'm really fucking excited about that. If any of those things sound awesome to you, go to Kickstarter, type in Jesse Blaze Snider, type in Sugar and Bones magazine. You will find those ready to sign up for notifications. Please do that. Also, every Monday, I do my show, Everything They Don't Want You to Know. I took off the past 2 weeks because I'm a lazy bones and I've been just dealing with some life. But you should check out that show. I'll be back on Monday. I have another show that used to be on Monday called All Your Favorite Bands Suck. There's 55 episodes. It's fucking awesome. It's my favorite bands. 55 episodes available everywhere but Spotify. It will be back eventually. I just haven't been able to bring it back yet. Anyway, so let me be clear. You are not crazy for feeling like something is wrong. You're not alone in seeing through the cracks, and you are not powerless to do something about it. Start by laughing again, but, on your own terms. Start by questioning everything, even me. Start by remembering that being a geek was never just about fandoms. It was about being awake. It was about being free. It was about loving something so much you refused to let it be corrupted. So yeah, Colbert was a psyop. But now, so are we. We're the new signal in the noise. We're the myth makers now. And we are not for fucking sale. Welcome to the rebellion, my fellow geeks. Let's burn bright, let's melt the script, and let's never forget. They only lie this hard because the truth is that fucking powerful. I'm your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. I hope you will join me this Saturday for a coolest pick, and then back again for another episode Wednesday for another fucking awesome episode of The Coolest Geek Alive. Love you guys. See you next time. Peace out. You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part! Isn't that heavy? I played that! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Coolest alive! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Stay with your tribe! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Revenge of the Geeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Week after weeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Laughing with you! It's gonna be fucking awesome! And crying sometimes too! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Spelling it out! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Making you shout! It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living the shit. My voice is gonna be fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right on text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top. Awesome. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see. You'll all see.
The podcast playground. Hooray!